Thanks for all for joining. I hope this is going to be fun. This is going to be less lecture. I'm going to try and talk as little as possible. Okay, find yourself a partner very quickly. We're going to introduce you. You're going to check in with each other, introduce yourself, tell them who you are, what's your name, and if you have a team that you're trying to assess, talk about it. The catch is you can have your conversation, but the next person who speaks must start their sentence with the last letter of the previous person. So if I end my sentence with sentence, your first word must be an E, right? Because the word is sentence. Get it? There's the catch. Okay, go ahead. All right, time's up. What'd you think about that? Fun? Challenging? Yeah? All right. So time to introduce myself. My name is Huy Nguyen, or We Win. With a name like that, you just can't lose. You want them on your team. I'm a principal Agile coach. I'm one of the lead coaches at Bank of the West, part of their transformation. Basically, my past, I've been a jack of all trades, done all sorts of stuff, and I do all sorts of stuff outside of the office as well. There I am in my first and only professional recording session. My mission is to help others find their upward spirals. So how can we generate momentum about positive change and keep it going and make it bigger and bigger? I created this talk as basically a tool that I kind of like, I think it exists kind of out there, but this is my own version of it. How this came about was that at the bank, I get requests that come in and says, so-and-so team wants to do Agile. I don't know what that means. How many teams? What do you need? And like when I go to them, like, how much time do you have to talk about? I'm like, oh, I'm so busy, I only have 15 minutes. What? I'm supposed to figure out what you want in 15 minutes? How am I supposed to do that, right? And then as I developed this further, I found it as like a super like powerful tool that I can turn it on basically just about anything. And so it's something I want to share and give back to the community. It's like something pretty exciting I kind of discovered, at least my version of it, okay? So the idea is to use integral quadrants. How many of you have heard of Ken Wilber or integral quadrants? There's a few hands came up. All right, great. And so what Ken Wilber is, this guy is like kind of like a modern day ascetic. And he's really brilliant and basically tried to come up with a theory of everything where he sits down and he looks at psychology, all the different models, organizational development, social development, you name it. And he just kind of like meditated and was trying to create some sort of model that could kind of capture everything in a way that worked. And what he came up with was integral theory, and specifically today we're looking at integral quadrants. So really fast, there's two halves on both directions, like the singular, right? So the I is like around the individuals, the emotions, the states. Going down to the lower left is subjective. This is more of a plural version of I. It's like your teams, multiple people, maybe multiple teams. Then when we move to the right, to the lower right, this is like the container where everything exists. Physical environment, social environment, that type of thing. And finally, basically the science, the hard facts, the biology, those kind of things. So when I look at this, I reinterpret this in a way, before I move forward, those black circles, those are basically to specify that when there's a balance between the four directions, right, the four quadrants, that breaks into the next plateau. So if you've heard about like spiral dynamics and the whole Lalu colors and everything, it's sort of like you move to the next phase of evolution when you found that balance. If there's no balance, then you're too far on one side and things get a little wobbly. So as a coach, I want to figure out where the weaknesses are. How do I figure out for those teams to improve and whatnot? So some examples here. I'm not going to describe it, but basically, he also looks at it as basically it is a hierarchy that you can group, that the far one on the right, that I can have a company that exists in a particular market, maybe it's a sub-market of a larger industry, and in it, they use particular technology or whatnot. Now, I can go down, drill down one level, and go into the company, where the company is a container for teams, departments, systems, process, tools, skills, that kind of thing. Make sense? Any questions? Okay. Pretty simple, right? That's the beautiful thing about this. So as part of here's the activity for today. Well, part of the activities I'm going to take you through is you are going to come up with the questions for what would you ask. So like for me, put yourself in my shoes. You need to figure out what does this person need? What is this? If you have a particular team that you're looking at and somebody comes up to you and you know nothing, how would you begin asking questions using this as an inquiry framework? What does the team or the organization need in every category? What does the individual need? What does the team need? What are tools and skills that the teams and the individuals need? And then what is the organization? What does that look like, right? So we're going to do this in the form of liberating structures 1, 2, 4 all. So the first round is 3 minutes. And I'm going to give you, so the thing is, it's just silent writing for 3 minutes. Let me get my timer ready. And let me see here. All right, get ready. So grab a sticky, grab a Sharpie, because we're going to collect this when we're going to go a couple rounds. So round 1, get ready. On your mark, get set, go. Try to come up with at least one question in every category. So you should have, by the time you're done, you should have at least 4 questions. What would you ask this person? What does the individual need? What does the org need? So on and so forth. And try to limit to 3 to 5 words. And 1 idea per sticky. So if I was somebody, everybody keep writing, and I'll just answer this question. If I was coming to you and I say, I have a brand new team, help me out. I don't know what to do with this team, and you need to ask me a series of questions to figure out what my problem is, right? So in every category, what would you ask in that question? Is there something about mindset, for instance? What's the mindset like? If it's about the organization, maybe you want to understand what the political structure is, right? I'm just trying not to lead you all because I want you to create the questions yourself because the activity is the questioning. All right, time's up. Get ready for round 2. Round 2, now go back to your partner. Share your ideas with them. Come up with the best let's come up with the best question in every category, just like out of the 2 of you. So you should have, let's do 2 each. Like, so your best 2 in every category for both people. Go. All right, time's up. Okay. Round 3. So what you're going to do is let's do it at the table. I'll give you 3 minutes, okay? So at the table now, you're going to combine. So we have a group of 3 here. Can we ask those of you to kind of bring your stickies over and join forces over here? So you have a table of 6. And you're going to be up around anyway, so don't worry about being at your table. Okay, so at your table, let's see, because we have 5 tables, we're going to get like 5, 6. Let's do your number 1 in every category for every table. Okay? Questions? All right. Go for it. All right, time's up. Okay, so wrap up your discussions. You got your number 1s in each category, right? So on the wall over there, I put a bunch of stickies, 1 for every category. I want you all to get up there and place them in the right place. Those of you, I would actually want the whole table to go. Take a look at some of the other questions, the best questions the other teams came up with, and see what you liked, right? See what you liked out of each one, right? So wait, I'm jumping the gun here. So when I did this, this is what I think of, right? So I'm thinking like, I heard psychological safety pop out here somewhere, emotional intelligence. What is the person go? Are they nervous? Are they anxious? What about their personal goal, developmental, right? Team size, team competition, dynamics. What's the political structure within the team? Similarly, in the organization, right? How is the C-level engaged? What's the company culture like? Like that kind of thing, right? What's the holistic picture? And then finally, again, like I heard the question over here, do we have the tools to succeed? Things like that, right? Do I have collaboration tools? Do you know what the role is? Do you know what Scrum is? Do you know what Lean and Kanban is, right? You know what a product owner is? You know what a leader is supposed to do, right? Those are really areas that you can dig into, right? And then here, what Wilbur talks about is there's themes. There's themes that radiate through the whole thing. So obviously, Drive is a really great, Dan Pink's book, psychological safety, and there's more that you can think of, that you can come on your own. So we're all going to get up, put them on the wall. You're going to get inspired. Look at some of the other questions that other people have written. Let's just plaster that wall over there, okay? With your best shot. All right, so now we're going to start moving to the next stage. So find a partner. Could be your old partner. Could be a new partner. It doesn't really matter. And what we're going to do is you're going to take turns. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So when you're the interviewer, you're going to use these questions that you came up, or maybe you spontaneously will come up with your own questions on the spot in some of these categories, okay? For the one that is being interviewed, you're going to represent that team. So let's say you're representing the team that you want to get assessed, okay? And that person's going to try and figure out. The goal of the game here is zero in the biggest issue as quickly as possible. Normally I have 15 minutes to do this. I'm giving you 5 because you're that awesome, okay? All right, get ready. On your mark, get set, go. First round. I'll put this back up just in case you need help. 2, 1. All right, time's up. Let's switch sides now. I'll give you another 5 minutes to practice. All right, go for it. All right, time's up. Time's up, time's up. Wrap up your conversation. All right, let's come back and do a quick debrief. So, did anybody zero down into the problems of your partner? Did you feel like a good enough sense of what that was? Everybody got there to some degree, right? So like, let's just do a quick popcorn shout out. Like, what did you discover? Well,
we were lacking a clear vision or strategy that translated from the senior team down to
alignment from the top down and how it permeates through all 4 quadrants, right? That's a significant, that's probably like 90% of the organizations out there, right? I see a lot of nodding heads, right? So what's something else somebody else discovered? Yes?
The magic wand question is a fast way to get to the problem statement.
Right. If I rave my coaches wand and I make this problem go away, what's still remaining? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a crazy powerful tool. I use it at every opportunity. I completely agree. Anybody else? What do you discover? Anybody else? Things you learn. So let's open it up. Yes.
It can be hard to just assess and not try to jump in and solve.
It is hard to assess and not just. There's a cognitive bias to come here like, hey, let me fix your stuff. Right? Because, like, let's be honest, we all got into this industry. Why? Because we're all helpers, right? And that's our natural tendency. So then this is kind of gives you that check, right? No, maybe I shouldn't solution, just let me ask some more questions, right? Did anybody notice, like, one of the experiences I get when I do this is I may go around all the quadrants. Did you feel like it was like, let me try something else, and suddenly you're like, oh, there's something else there. Right? Anybody get that? Raise a show of hands. Just a few? All right. All right. What was difficult about this?
just tying back the I, we, it's
Yeah.
to your particular questions.
Right.
And but I'm sure it'll come time.
Right. So it takes practice, right? So I think the other side is like, when I was first doing this, like, I didn't have this list. Right? I was just let me just ask one question and see what happens. And just experiment, adapt on the fly. And just say, let me ask about role knowledge. Okay, they seem to be okay. Let me keep going around. And eventually I'll land on the right thing if I keep bouncing around. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you, when you go and you consult for somebody and you say, all the questions are about Agile? Are you doing stand-ups? Are you doing activities? Are you, right? So sort of like this kind of breaks you out of the shell, kind of starts beating back that cognitive bias where it's like framework first, right? Just like how Jürgen was talking about earlier today, right? Pretty cool, yeah? So just to kind of wrap it up, so here, the answer is finding the right question. So if you're solutioning, chances are you might be missing the forest for the trees, right? Because to me, it's sort of like, regardless of what I do as a coach, it's sort of like, if I can frame the right problem, I know my teams and my people and my organization are barking up the right tree, right? Because what's the fastest way to do donuts in the parking lot, meaning do work that's not valuable, is to answer the wrong question, right? So in a certain sense, questions like, what is value, right? What is alignment? What is our purpose? What's the business model? Are we mature? You can take just about anything Jürgen said and put this into a canvas and drill down into every little corner of the organization, right? Pretty interesting. So so originally this talk was actually about interviewing. So this is where this really turbo-powered my interviewing skills when I would interview another candidate. So I would ask, what's psychological safety to you, right? What is your ideal team? What's the organization? How do you engage your stakeholders? What's Agile, Scrum? What's the principles? Which principles are important to you? See, I just went through all 4 quadrants, 4 questions, right? And as you do it more, you get faster and you kind of like, okay, if they're saying the culture is good, then I know I can zero in somewhere else. So I can build that balance with my teams and get them moving forward. So you can do it on yourself. Interview yourself. Where am I with my embodiment, with my mentality, with the stresses I deal with? Where is my team? Where is my org? Or how am I approaching my org? So you can take this and actually, I use this to drive my own career, right? Similarly, and then the other stuff is, you can do it to just about anything. So it's to the point now when I host, one of the things I volunteer, I'm a co-facilitator for a online peer mentoring coaching group. And when I coach people on there, even in coaching conversations, I go through the quadrants, just very quietly, right? So you can use this as a way, like I said, it's an inquiry framework. You can use it to ask questions, not necessarily find answers, okay? And that's it to my talk. I mean, any questions I can answer? Yeah.